Happy Wednesday to you. I'm Jyn Yates. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation here on LRS102.com, The Walrus. We are broadcasting live from the Launch Louisville studios at 816 East Broadway, and I'm so excited today because I am joined by an awesome chick drummer, which you know I love to feature. Kay Michelle Lewis, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. I'm going to put my glasses on for this just because I feel like I can channel more cool, groovy things with them on.
Very cool.
I'm so excited to have you on the show because I've known you for a long time,
Yes.
and I was trying to remember. Do you remember how we met?
No,
I don't
honestly
either.
don't.
I don't either,
honestly
but
don't.
you've always been around. You know what I mean? Like since my 20s. I think we met through a group of friends, maybe playing. I think I saw you play one night at like Molly Malone's or something like that back in the day, somewhere around the St. Matthews area. Anyway, you were filling in.
Back in the day.
It was definitely back in the day. I think I was in my 20s, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I saw you, and, I kind of run into you in the scene, in the community, here and there. You're always doing something really cool. You're a great drummer. I got to work with you on Funny Girl.
Yeah, man.
Remember
was a
that?
blast.
That was a good
Yes.
time, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot all about Yeah, I did Funny Girl. The musicals, right.
The musicals. Yeah, it was great stuff.
Yeah, so you do theater. You're a music educator with an awesome background with that. Great drumming skills, amazing reading skills. I mean, you also operate a company, right? Tell our
Yeah.
listeners a little bit about that.
So yeah, Drum Smart LLC. This is a percussion studio. Also do percussion workshops. So whether it's like African drumming workshops or Cuban drumming workshops, or even workshops for teachers who are learning, wanting to learn more about how to teach percussion to their students. All kinds of different workshops like that.
That's awesome. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that because I'm really curious about all that myself. I follow you on social media. I always love your social media. I think we're friends on Instagram.
We're friends on all the Instas and Twitters and
I know. Everything but Snapchat, I think.
Yes,
Yeah. Are you
yes.
on my Twitter? I didn't even know that.
You know what? I'm on all the social medias.
Yeah.
I was on Snapchat. I kind of am on it, but I'm trying to do some less of that.
Yeah,
because
less social.
I feel like I'm addicted to my phone, and that's not good for me. So
I understand that. I am too. I've always been a tech geek. I always, since I was a kid. My dad was a big techie, and so I just grew up. And it's funny that I end up in radio again because I grew up with tape cassettes and dubbing down things, and I was always like wanting to put a microphone to something and make a show, and as a kid. So it's kind of ironic that we end up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your career in music. Obviously, you've done some really cool things on a complete professional level. How did you get your start in music?
wow, yeah. So, man, I saw somebody with a clarinet, and it was shiny. I was young, okay, so I was like 5th grade or something like
Yeah.
this, and I was like, oh, that instrument is so shiny. So I wanted to join the band, I was
Yeah.
like, that's how I got started. I just got hooked that way through school.
And through a clarinet, I love that.
Through a clarinet, yeah, that's not what I play now. But,
Yeah. You know
but
what's
that's
funny?
okay.
I started on clarinet. I don't know if I
Yeah,
told you that.
yes,
Yeah.
I know this, yeah.
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of like the whole world starts on clarinet.
I know. I had one of the best clarinet teachers ever to give me basically his clarinet. He's since passed, but his name was Mr. Tooley, and he was the band director for Adair County in the 50s and 60s, and he retired. And then eventually Tim Allen came along, and my dad was still friends with Mr. Tooley because he was his band director. And he said, my daughter wants to play clarinet, which I really didn't really want to play clarinet. I wanted to play drums, but
It's so funny because,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, yeah, this is shiny. I'm going to try it. And then I got into band and I did really well. I was like first chair every year, first chair and second chair. It was like me and this other girl. I think her name was Kimberly. And we battled it out every single week.
Yeah.
The chair test, and
isn't
like,
that funny?
yeah. And then, so then there was this thing that just hit me and I was like, I just really want to play percussion. And, band directors, what they typically do is they look at their instrumentation and they go, we need a tuba. We need an instrument that we need in the band. And so they try to make you play that instrument,
Yeah.
make you one of those players. And I'm
Right.
like, I can't play this instrument anymore. It's like not in my heart to do this.
Right, exactly.
And so at that point in time, I was like 7th grade, and he's like, nope, you can't change. You already started on clarinet. You can't change. And I was like, my
Really?
goodness, I have like 2 more years
Yeah.
of this that I don't want to do. And so he wouldn't let me change.
Uh-huh.
And
Band directors are interesting characters sometimes.
yeah, and so what ended up happening, Jen, this is the most amazing thing. I figured out how to play percussion.
Yeah.
I just figured out that I would talk in band class and that I would go to last chair in band class so that when the band director from the high school came over to audition me for clarinet,
Yeah.
that I would do so bad that they wouldn't want me on clarinet.
You just like squawk it.
I
and
figured it out.
Yeah, make horrible noises because they can make some atrocious noises.
They can.
Woodwinds can.
It's crazy. So I figured out I'll just do poorly on this and they won't want me on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll get percussion, and so it worked. So I got
So smart. Drum smart. Drum smart.
Drum smart.
Is that where the name came from? I'm just curious. Because it should have.
no, but that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
So yeah, she auditioned me and she gave me a choice. She's like, "Hey, you can play the flag or twirl the flag, in the
Play
guard.
the flag. Yeah.
I'm gonna be in the guard, or you can play percussion." And I was like, "Percussion, that's what I want to do." It was
Yeah.
just an easy fit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I'm glad that you like messed up your auditions and said let's chair. Because you ended up on drums. That's amazing.
It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, can I tell you a funny story about a flag though? Because you brought up flags, and of course I love a flag line. You know I do. I love
they're great. Yes.
I could never twirl anything, or we do lots of cool things.
You
with
twirl
our-
sticks.
I
We twirl sticks.
That's right.
That's
not
what we
flags,
twirl.
Right.
Not flags.
But I always like to look at the flag girls. They were always fun, and it's always the visual part of it I love. So anyway, one day I was in marching band, and we had to perform this performance, and it had rained the night before, and we were going to go on and do it anyway because they never let us cancel anything. And I was on I forget what the rules are now between you have to stay, the pit must be between the 20-yard line, the 20-yard line.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. And I was at the other 20-yard line, doing some kind of marimba thing. And I only had a few seconds to get back to the other side of the other 20-yard line to hit this bass drum on time for this big performance thing, right? It was a marching band competition. And I'm running. And somebody had left their flag laying across where I had to run. So I slip on it, go flying, and when I get over there, the mallet is nowhere to be found. So I just picked up the flag and started hitting the bass drum with it, and it was on tape. They went back and watched it over and over and over again the next day and just laugh and so much about it. But sometimes you do play a flag as a percussionist.
Percussion is in everything. It's in everything.
It is.
It's
yeah.
the rhythm of life. It's in all things.
Yeah. And why do you think it was that, were you just born with the innate, you just wanted to play drums, you just had it in your soul?
Yes. I mean, it hit me that year. I think it was 7th grade year that that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I wanted to do. And my dad, he actually played drum set in a band that his dad had.
Cool.
He was a young guy, little elementary looking kid back then. So he played drum set with his dad and his band. And so I probably get some of it from my dad, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
And but it's always been there. It's always.
Yeah. I always say your parents give you your heartbeat, you know what I'm saying? And that is the foundational rhythm of all of us. So I like to say that we all have rhythm pumping in our blood, you know what I mean? And keeping us alive.
That's right.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Yeah. And like you said, rhythm is the foundation, because I always love to talk about that, because without rhythm, you wouldn't have melody lines and you wouldn't have other things, because when you're playing melody lines, you're also playing rhythm underneath them.
That's exactly right.
And when you're playing rhythm, you're not necessarily always playing a melody.
This is true.
Yeah. So rhythm is the true foundation of music, in my opinion.
Yes. I believe it to be true as well. And, there's this heartbeat that runs through all of us. I mean, I believe all of us are percussionists.
I agree.
I don't think people realize that they are, but they have this innate ability. I mean, your heartbeat runs 24/7, even when you're sleeping, at a consistent rate, all day, all night, forever.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're perfect. we keep a perfect steady beat.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Well, we hope to.
We're all percussionists.
Right. How important?
Well, yes,
how
but-
important is it, do you think, to get your students on a metronome right away?
You know what? I mean, I teach all age kids from
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten all the way up to high school and adult age.
Yeah.
You know, and the kids that I have at Bloom Elementary, I don't put them on a metronome, and they have a great steady pulse.
Yeah. Well, you're probably like clicking time for them, aren't you, or something, or like
Oh,
helping them along the way.
Yeah, I've got like a drum or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like a metronome, but
Yeah.
it's a different form of a metronome. Something is keeping the steady
Yeah,
pulse.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whether it's me on a drum or something, some other instrument, yeah. So I do, yeah. You definitely need to have some form of a steady pulse going. So it might be, hey, we're gonna do dancing to this music over here.
Yeah.
That's a form of a metronome.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not just the clicker on your
Yeah.
phone app.
You know, I think, and you might take this and run with it, that somebody needs to create a metronome specifically for drummers, because every time I go to either download a metronome or buy an actual metronome, and I've bought a vast array of metronomes in my day, and even the apps, because we do play a louder instrument, although you should learn to play quiet as well. You know, it's really hard to hear a metronome sometimes when you are playing a drum or a drum set, and it always seems like they're too quiet for me, even in
with
my headphones. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, and I've had a lot of other drummers complain about that, and I thought somebody needs to make a specific metronome for the drummers that actually maybe doesn't have that annoying, really high pitched tone, ching
Right.
ching ching sound.
Yeah. Dr.
There
Beat.
are, there are ones that like you can replace the sound on, which I kind of love because I like to make my own sound and then use that as the metronome sound. It's like a beat replacement thing, you
Right.
know. But I don't know. It just seems like everybody I know has a hard time with the metronomes because of the volume level. They only go to a certain volume level, and then it's always hard to hear.
Yeah.
You know, especially these older drummers who have been playing for years and never took care of their hearing. you
Oh
know?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
the hearing loss.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Do you wear earplugs or anything
I
like
definitely
that?
do. Yeah, when I was playing with the Louisville Pipe Band, always wearing earplugs. Marching band. I
Yeah.
mean, I see a lot of times in like high school marching bands, they should be wearing earplugs. The kids
Mm-hmm.
need to be wearing earplugs, and I'm afraid that not all of them do.
You know, I don't
'Cause
think
I
any.
didn't. I
Yeah,
didn't when
I
I was in
didn't
school. You
either.
probably didn't either.
Not even in college or
it-
any of that. I was
Right.
Yeah, I
But-
don't even think I've seen a marching band that's had a kid with earplugs.
No, but
That's a great idea.
They definitely need to. So shout out to whoever's wearing earplugs because it's going to save your ears later on. So yeah, with the pipe band, you know, they're playing rudimental snare drums and all kinds of things, and with the bagpipes going, you kind of have to wear earplugs.
Oh man,
if you don't,
bagpipes
you're
are
gonna die.
so loud.
You're gonna
Bagpipes are for real loud. I knew a guy who played them, and he literally set them up beside me one day, and I thought, oh wow,
Yeah.
like they'll run you out of a room.
You don't have a choice but to wear earplugs.
Yeah, I can see that. But I love me some bagpipes.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
great fun playing with them.
Yeah, I actually went to a wedding that had a bagpipe player like do all the music, which was super rad. But like you said, very loud.
Yes.
Yeah, they need to stand like way in another field somewhere a couple miles away. You still hear them great. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the bagpipes though and the invention of them, but I'd love to know a little bit more about that because I'm pretty sure like the drums, were kind of used for Morse code and stuff for rudiment stuff. That maybe it might be the same idea with the bagpipes because you can hear them. You know how trumpets were like a call.
Oh yeah.
And
So-
because back in the day without transportation and airplanes and all this interference that we have today.
That was their way of communicating.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, in the hills of Scotland and all these places,
Yeah.
this was the instrument that you could hear. So that's what they
Yeah.
played.
Isn't that wild?
Fascinating instrument.
It is a fascinating instrument. Well, Michelle,
but not as fascinating as the drums.
That's right. Nothing's as cool as the drum set or the drums or the drum set. Period.
All of them. All
Yeah.
of them. They're
That's what I always teach
so
my
unique.
kids. Well, and you know what my favorite part about teaching the kids is? One of my favorite many parts, but is when the kids who are not necessarily like the cool kids or kind of the geeky kids that get picked on every day that take drum lessons, when they actually get to go perform in front of their schools, all of a sudden they come back to me and they're like, Miss Jyn, everybody in the school wants to talk to me now. I'm like the coolest kid ever after they play for them. And I was like, because there's something about drums that just is cool. There's nothing not cool about a drum set. And it's not like a flute or a piccolo or a clarinet. No offense to those players because I think they're cool, but you kind of, it's not as cool as like an electric guitar or a drum set, So for some reason, the drums tend to make the kids popular.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it because they come
It
back
gives-
and they're cool, and they're like,
Yeah.
everybody likes me now when they didn't. And I was like, I was that kid too. So I totally like him, like rock and roll kid. You keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and something about, and it's, maybe it's all instruments are like this. I mean, it certainly was not this way when I was playing clarinet, but the drum,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be a drum set, it could be any kind of drum. But the drums, I've noticed, I just returned from a music mission trip in eastern Kentucky where the girls at this children's home, they had never played the drums before. And when we got in there and started playing, at the very end, I mean, their confidence, you could tell, their confidence was very low in the beginning. Energy was low in the beginning.
Right.
And then right at the end of that hour, they were like on fire. They were happy. They were confident. They were playing solos. They'd never played the drum before, Jen.
That's awesome.
Ever. They were in
Kudos
high
to you.
school.
Yeah.
High school. And I'm like, wait a minute. You went from kindergarten all the way up to high school and you've never touched a drum?
I know. That's mind-blowing to
How
me.
is that even possible? Like, it's 2019. How's that
Yeah.
possible?
I-
Can anybody out there answer this question? How's
if
that
it was
possible?
up to me, every kid in the country would have a drum set, or every kid in the world, really. You know what I mean? Because every time I see these like kids from Africa playing on buckets and stuff, and they can't afford to have a drum set, and they've made these drum sets, I always want to like figure out a way to get them a drum set.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
Because some of those kids are phenomenal, and it
Yeah,
is
and
hard
they
to imagine
connect.
not ever hitting anything drum wise when you're in high school.
Well, and it's it's the year 2019. We're in the most wealthy country in the world. We should have access to these types of things that are a basic human right.
I agree.
I believe it's a basic human right to have some kind of music education in your
Amen.
lifetime.
Truth.
And
yeah.
when a kid has gone all the way through high school and they're, they've experienced trauma and so many difficult situations, and you've noticed in this 1 hour that they're happy, they're confident, they have done something they've never done before.
Right.
In 1 hour, that can happen.
Yeah.
And what kind of impact, if the years prior that was in their life, what kind of impact would that have had or made
Yeah.
on them?
It's amazing to think
so-
about. Yeah.
It is, yeah. So
Yeah.
we need more drums in the world.
Of course we do. I want everybody to play drums, don't you?
Me too.
Yeah. And together. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's magic when everybody's communicating and
It
playing it, and
is.
they're like, it creates like this unification, this oneness, this like unity that overcomes all things, racial barriers, socioeconomic barriers, all of them. All the barriers are broken. There's not a barrier.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming together and they're playing as one, and they're just making music that's never going to be repeated ever again. It's
Right.
beautiful. It's
Music
beautiful.
is truly the universal language. It really is. And it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It doesn't matter, what you believe in, what your religion is. If you just picked up a drum and played with somebody else, you'll get along and probably smile at each other and have a great time. You
Oh,
know what I
yeah.
mean? It brings people together. It really does. I always find it fascinating, too, that the drum is one of the oldest instruments known to humankind, other than the voice, because as soon as you could have something to chop a tree in an animal skin, you could have a drum, so it goes back to prehistoric times, cave women, cavemen, all this stuff. But the drum set is like one of the more modern, newer instruments.
Yes.
It's like a hybrid of the oldest instrument known to mankind. So we're like literally the oldest and one of the newest instruments out there. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I always try to educate people about, well, the drum set didn't really come around until the kick drum was invented. And once the kick pedal, not the kick drum, the kick pedal, once the kick pedal was invented, then it allowed one person to play a snare and a kick, or a snare and a bass. Where before you had to have somebody playing a bass, just like a marching band.
Right.
You had to have somebody playing a snare. You had to break it down into individual things. So
Yes.
it's a really cool concept about, drums have been around for ever since, we can imagine people being around, and they were found in every culture across the world, and every culture has different styles of drums, you know.
Yes.
So if you go to Africa, you're going to see more of the hand wooden djembes and stuff like that, right? Whereas if you go to Latin America, you might see some totally different types of drums there,
Right.
America, the founder of the drum set, and all kinds of cool
It's
things.
amazing. I mean, like the amount that you can learn on all of these instruments and the cultures at the same time.
Yeah, I think the drums tell the history of people almost more than anything else, in the history of the world, because it wasn't until the immigrants started kind of flooding into America that we started piecing together that drum set, because, Japan had things like cowbells and all these cool things, and then the Turkish brought the cymbals and, and all these cool things, and literally it took all these different cultures coming together to create the drum set that we have today, which is fascinating to
It
me.
is. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty
So I'm glad to
amazing.
have you in our studio today.
Yes.
And we're going to talk all things drums. And of course, at the top of the hour at 3 o'clock, we're going to be talking to Pastor Tracy Patton, if you know her.
Yeah,
She's
I do
doing.
know her. She's doing some amazing things.
I love her. I consider her my pastor. Like, I call her anytime I have problems just to talk about, hey, how do I handle this, whatever. And she's always just been there for me and given me great advice. And I love how philanthropic she is. I love what she does for the community. She helps feed kids who do not have food. And she runs her own church, and they just got their own new church
I
that
saw
they
that.
own. Yeah,
Yes,
so we're going to talk a little
awesome.
bit about that, because I actually just really love her. So we're happy to have you on the show today. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com, and you picked some Queen.
Yes,
You can't go wrong with Queen.
we're picking some 80s, y'all.
Yeah, we're 80s kids, so we like the 80s rock and roll. Stay tuned. I'm joined by K. Michelle Lewis, drummer extraordinaire. You're on LRS102.com, The Walrus. It's Man Eater with Daryl Hall and John Oates. I love the end of that where he's like, "Ooh," yeah, whatever he says there is so funny to me. I love 80s rock and roll. You just cannot go
Me
wrong
too.
with 80s rock and roll, in my opinion. I like all eras of rock and roll, but 80s has a special place in my heart.
Me too. I mean, when you're an 80s child, it has to.
Yeah, I agree. And we're 80s kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We're not going to give our ages out online, although I say all the time how old I am on here.
I mean, I'm good with it. I'm 45, and
I-
I don't feel a day over 25.
I know, right? I'm 40, so I'll be 41 shortly. But it's so funny because my therapist tells me, and I love my therapist, she changed my life, but she tells me that even if you're 70 years old, you're still mentally going to feel like you're in your 20s. And I was like, that's so bizarre to me. You know what I mean? That your physical body keeps going down, but your brain, or your mind stays that young.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to imagine,
But it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel youthful.
Yeah, I feel youthful
Lots
too.
of energy, youthful. Age is a number. That's what
Age
it
is
is.
a number, you're right. Yeah. And it's funny because I've talked to other people that have been on the show where it's like, even, like in my personal dating life, it's like, I could meet someone who's in their 50s, but they may be emotionally still in their 20s. Or you can meet someone in their 20s who may emotionally be in their 80s. You just never know
Yeah.
what you're looking at. And I feel like gender is the exact same thing, because I've always felt something different on the inside than I look like on the outside, and was always confused by that. And I think I more identify with like non-binary kind of, people label me whatever, but I know what I am, and so there are certain things that I like that, probably would confuse other people or whatnot. But I feel like gender, we just cannot judge by the way you look as into what you like personally, sexually, and across the board.
Yes.
You just never know about people, and that goes back to the whole emotionality thing too.
Right.
It's very interesting how it works,
It
isn't
is
it? Life?
very interesting.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the physical elements of playing percussion because it is a very physical. Not always, but it is a physical instrument. And, you know, I've played drum set for a very long time. I've got some nerve damage in my arm that has really, I mean, even Sunday, we were talking about She Castle. I was on stage for a long period of time, and I was going to do Wipeout for Bev in her honor because she always loved me to do that. And that may be the last time I ever do that song because just physically, I can barely get through it nowadays because of my arm damage, the nerve damage. It's I have loss of feeling in my fingers on the left side, and now it's starting to become on the right side. And, you know, and if I don't hold my body in a certain way, I can't get the sound that I want. So it's, to me as a drummer, I'm like, if I can't do it to the level that I'm used to performing it at, then I don't want to do it at all. You know what I mean?
Right. I've experienced that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know you have. And
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about your diagnosis and a lot of the stuff that you do healing wise through drumming.
Okay, so when I was in high school, Jen, I think it was 1991, maybe 1992, that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. This is a disease that affects your nervous system. You go through an MRI and a spinal tap and a series of these tests to diagnose it, and they came up with multiple sclerosis as the diagnosis. And at age 17 or 18, that was like, wow, you know, I just got into playing percussion, and you know, here all of a sudden I'm seeing double vision. I'm not able to walk a straight line. You know, getting dizzy, and all kinds of weird stuff is happening. So that was the first set of things that happened.
Wow,
Then,
that's very young.
it's very young.
Very young
And
to be diagnosed.
back then, people need to know that they didn't have anything. They didn't have the therapies that they have today. They didn't have anything to treat you with except for something called a steroid. And we all know that that's not a good thing to put into your body.
Man, I tell you what, they gave me a steroid when I went to the hospital for this nerve damage, and I literally thought I was going to have to go back to the hospital. It made my heart race so bad that I thought my heart was going to explode. I didn't know what that was because I don't take a lot of medicines, you know, other
Right.
than an aspirin a day. And it freaked me out. That I was like, I don't want to ever take a steroid again.
Yeah, it can. They have lots of all these drugs have lots of side effects. So you know, so that's what happened in high school, and you know, from that point, you know, several years went by, and I did great. I didn't have any trouble until, you know, I got to graduate school. I was going for my master's degree up at Rutgers University in percussion performance. Okay, so this is something, you know, you need to be able to use both sides of your body to play, you know, four mallets on marimba, timpani, multi-percussion, all kinds of things. And one day I got up, and it's like somebody took a knife and went straight from the top of my head, split me down the center, and my whole left side would not work.
Oh
It
my
would
gosh.
not even function. So, needless to say, I felt like my career was gone at that point.
Yeah.
I felt like it was gone because I couldn't feel my, you know, anything functioning.
Did you immediately go to the hospital after that, or?
I did, you know, and I was in college, so I didn't have the, you know, like, the doctors and things. I didn't have specialists to go to
Right.
at that point. So I came back, or I went back to Texas because that's where I was living at the time. I was in Houston. And Houston at the time had a great, and I think they still do, a great MS doctors and everything in that community. So they helped me. So I went on, at that point in time, they had therapies for MS because now time is gone. It was 2001.
Right.
And I went on a therapy. I got better over a year. I went back up there, did my recital, and got my degree and moved on.
Good for you.
And so fast forward to 2 years ago, this is, you know, what is it? 2017.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, I was walking into work. It's over Bloom Elementary in the Highlands. You know, I parked on one street, was walking into work one day, and I stopped in my tracks because I couldn't feel my whole left side. I couldn't feel my leg. And I thought, you know, here we go again.
Yeah, numbness, or I mean, what was the feeling like? I'm just curious.
It was like I just could not feel my leg.
Yeah.
I could not, you know, couldn't feel it.
Wow.
It's like you want to pick up your leg and you can feel your muscles moving and functioning. I couldn't feel my leg. And so at that point it was very scary because, you know, I've already been through this twice.
Right.
So here's the third time. And the third time, you know, I got a new doctor. I was like, I need to get a new doctor. And I did. And this man has, he's not like every doctor. He is, you know, like, willing to hear, you know, with like holistic type therapies and things like this to mix that with the new therapy.
I love that.
So what I did was, I took it as his advice on which one he thought would be the one that I should take. So, and it was the riskiest one. So I did that one. So they go in and they take out all your good and bad cells. So you're getting an infusion, and you're at the end of the week, you don't have any good and white, you know, any good and bad cells. All of them are gone. So they're basically killing off the cells so that when they grow back, they don't remember that the disease was there. But in addition to this, like I have to tell you, that didn't fix all of this.
Right.
What helped, and not that anything's broken, because I don't believe anybody's broken.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're out of balance as a society, and as humans, we're just a little out of balance with all the many things that are coming at us.
Right.
So basically what I did was, you know, started like doing group drumming and, you know, just getting my mind off of the disease, and then start nourishing my body, putting good things in it, and, you know, going for a walk, enjoying the nature outside, you know, trying to be in the moment and enjoy
all the
things
that are really great for you.
Yeah,
obviously.
all the things. But
eating healthy.
Yeah, I didn't obsess over it, because when you do that, then you know, that causes stress in your body when you're like stressed out about, oh, did I eat the right thing or whatever? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, now I'm doing great. Like I did 2 years of that therapy, and I've been doing all this body, mind, spirit work, and the group drumming stuff has definitely helped. And now I'm, you know, my doctor is like, he doesn't know what to say.
Awesome.
I'm running now. I couldn't run last year.
That's amazing.
So now I'm running. I'm like, I'm running. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Wow.
And then
kudos to you for, I mean, having to deal with that since what, 91, did you say?
Yeah, it's been over 27 years.
Yeah. And have you noticed when you play, you know, like if you have to play something that's kind of physically exhausting, do you notice any kind of wear and tear in your body? That's amazing.
No, it feels great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels great.
Wow. Well, kudos to you for dealing with that, because I know that just from my experience of just lately not being able to physically get through something like a wipeout. I mean, I got through it, but I was in pain, man. So that's really scary to me, you know.
There is hope.
Yeah, there is hope. But the coolest thing about you talking about this is that you said you did these group drumming circles and stuff like that, because and that's something I wanted to talk to you about today, because I know you do this. You know, the drum, if you've researched that, it was used for healing purposes back in prehistoric times.
Yes.
You know, people thought that it could help with childbirth, which I absolutely believe it can. It can help with any sort of pain. It can help with lots of things. And I feel like as a drummer or percussionist or a musician in general, like we do what we do because when we're not doing it, we tend to go crazy.
Yes. You know, drumming helps with anxiety and stress, and it helps build immune systems. You know, there's so much research out there that of the healing effects. And I don't know that other instrument, like I can't imagine another instrument that would do that. Maybe there's research on it.
Yeah.
But like there's something about it, and you know, and it puts you in the you know, when you drum for a long time, maybe like 30-40 minutes to an hour, when you drum at that that length,
Mm-hmm.
and you connect with whoever it is that you're drumming with for that length,
Mm-hmm.
your mind goes into what's called a theta. Your brain goes into theta stage, and it's like you're off in another world for a minute.
Yeah.
And it's you're just in the moment. You're not thinking about what just happened or what's happening afterwards. You are in the moment.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's such a good feeling.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my therapist told me to take musicals because I had a hard time staying present. And I feel like I have a hard time staying present. And I've talked to this about other drummers that were in on this show, because there are certain rhythms and certain drumming patterns that can put you into trance-like states. And I studied like the voodoo Haitian drumming stuff. And they talk about that, how when you're drumming, sometimes, like you just said, you go to, what is it, the theta state?
Yes, your brain goes to theta.
Yeah, it's like on autopilot and you're not really in your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a fascinating thing that happens. And I think that when you've drummed so much that it's so easy to just be on autopilot sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
that I have a hard time just staying present in a physical realm, like when I'm just doing my everyday normal stuff. So my therapist's suggestion was, well, how about you take a musical? Because they're going to give you a score and you have to kind of pay attention or you're lost, you know? And that was like one of the best recommendations I ever got.
It's awesome.
So that's why I started doing musicals.
Had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, for my own therapy.
That's
Isn't that
great.
crazy? It is,
Yes,
yeah.
that's great.
So again, music heals, man. I think
sure does.
music more than anything else. I mean, more than these medicines they're giving you to date. Not saying they're all bad, because I do know people need medicine. But a lot of these medicines that they were diagnosed, you know, they were handing out, and I'm a victim of this as well. In the 90s, I was wrongly diagnosed with a disorder I did not have, and they put me on all kinds of meds. And the meds were everything from seizure medications to things that I should have not had in my body. And I was on them for years until about my early 20s, somewhere in my mid 20s. I decided I did not feel good. I did not want to take these medicines. So I weaned myself off of them against doctors' orders. And then skip to my 30s, I start to see a therapist, right before my 30s. I start to see this therapist that just changed my life. And she said, you have no signs of anything that they diagnosed you with.
Wow.
And then she said, you should have never been put on these medicines. And she does believe that they, you know, messed up some stuff in my head a little bit, you know. But and maybe my emotions, definitely. Like, it really, I feel like, messed with a lot of my emotional self. So she correctly diagnosed me as PTSD, which is an anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. And said, you don't need meds for this. You need to do exactly what you were saying. Get out in nature. Find someone to love you. You know, don't stress the small stuff. You know, focus on your music. Don't focus on anything negative like that. And so I have tried to, since my 30s, you know, better myself that way.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. But I do feel like being a victim of someone who, you know, being someone who is misdiagnosed and put on all these meds. I mean, girl, it was everything that is horrible for you, you know.
Oh, it's a lot of stuff in there that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we're created perfectly.
Right. In God's image, I think.
Everybody's created perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And when things enter your system, oh, yeah, they can do a number on you.
Yeah, like you were talking about, side effects can be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I was a victim of that, you know, in my teens, pretty much. So anyway, enough about that. But that is, you know, I thank God for drumming, and for that, and, you know, and for her for finding the correct diagnosis.
Right.
You know, and I believe her, and she changed my life for the better. And
well, I'm happy that you met this person and that they got you on the right.
Miss Mary Zerini, I'll give her a shout out. I love her. I
Yay.
wanted to write a song about her called Immortalizing Zerini, just because she's so magical of a creature and so good at what she does therapy wise. You know, she really helped me change my outlook on life, my perception, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was really kind of down when I went to her. And yeah, I've always suffered depression, so I have my down moments, you know, and whatnot. But drumming has always helped with that.
Yeah.
And music. And when I'm not, you know, music to me is my therapy. obviously.
Oh my gosh. Man, I'm telling you, it is mine too. That's why I started doing community drum circles. I started those a few years ago, I think 3 years ago actually, just in different spots in the city, just doing one a month. I'm like, I need to do this just for my own personal like healing, to get together with other people and just have this, community drum circle jam session.
Yeah.
And it was so just beautiful to see people from all walks of life make music together, and it just makes your heart feel so good at the end of the hour. And in the day that we're living in with all the things, I don't watch TV, Jen, so
I don't either. I don't even own a television. The past
so I don't
many
really know
years I haven't had one.
I hear things and I see things across social media about this happened or that happened, and I'm like, you know what? The world that I'm living in and the people that I surround myself with and the people that I drum with, this is the world that I know.
Yeah.
This is the world that I love.
Yeah, same. I feel you. Yeah, I went through this whole thing where I have completely changed everybody around me. I feel like you need to do that sometimes, you know what I mean? Because, for multitude of reasons, but just for my own mental health, it was really good for me to just step back, get away from everybody, and look at it from an outside picture and be like, who do I want to surround myself with? Because who you surround yourself with says a lot about you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I had to do that, and I completely just changed everything because I wasn't happy with where I was, and what I was doing, and just the choices I was making were not the best. And so I quit drinking, and in the past 2 years, I'm back up, but I did, lose a lot of weight and started watching what I ate and tried to incorporate more exercise because that was never really ingrained in me as a kid. I didn't know anything about eating healthy. I was like a McDonald's kid, basically.
I know. So, I don't want to say so was I, but like, we just didn't, it was greasy food. It was unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. And I love everything that's unhealthy for you. So I had to somehow in my brain change my perception, you know what I mean? And be like, it doesn't matter if you enjoy this, you should cut it off, or whatever. So you totally get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and I think that comes with age. You just start to wise up at some point and you're like, okay, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now,
Absolutely.
But I still love to eat some greasy food. We talked about, not that it's greasy, but I ate a DKD last night because we were talking about going to DKD. I was like, man, I don't know what it is about their food, but like I get cravings for DKD.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't go very often, but man, I went today and it was so good. I was like, oh, I miss this.
By the way, did you know, and I don't know if do you like edamame?
I do.
Okay, edamame is like one of my favorite things ever. They've got a secret menu item that they don't put on their menu.
Oh.
That's this garlic. They have an edamame on their menu, but you have to specifically ask for this one. But they have this garlic oil edamame.
Okay,
hot.
So when I order it, I go top secret edamame.
Yeah, and with the garlic sauce, or with the dipped in garlic and oil and sea salt, because the regular one that they serve you is just regular edamame with sea salt. Mm-hmm. You have to ask for the garlic one, but it's straight crack. I get it every time I go, and I highly recommend it. But for some reason, they don't put it on their menu. I don't know why.
Top secret edamame, everyone. Top secret.
Ask for the top secret edamame. And this message will self-destruct in 20 minutes.
That's right.
Anyway, you're locked on to Jyneration Nation. We're here on LRS102.com. I am joined by K. Michelle Lewis, drummer extraordinaire, music educator, owner of Drum Smart, right? Did I get it right? Did I say Drum Strong earlier? I meant to say Drum Smart if I did.
You said it right. You
okay,
got
good.
it.
Sometimes I say things and I go back and edit, and I'm like, what in the world was I thinking, talking about like the kick pedal being invented the other day. I said the kick drum being invented, and I went back and was like, oh, he probably thought I was crazy. I meant the kick pedal, not the kick drum, or the bass drum, actually. Right. Yeah, so anyway, but we have you for until 4 o'clock, which is awesome.
Sweet.
And Miss Tracy Patton's going to be calling in here in a little bit to give us an update about her church and all the fundraising she's doing and all the philanthropic stuff that she does. I love her. She's a pastor over in Indiana and one of my all-time favorite people ever. So, and she's got a great story behind her too, if you know
love
it.
it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to direct our listeners to go to? Where can they find your websites and stuff like that?
Yeah, totally. So I'm on Instagram as DrumSmart101, and I'm on Facebook as DrumSmart LLC. Twitter, DrumSmart. You can
Love
also
it.
find me on Twitter as K Michelle Lewis.
You know, I love Twitter. I don't know what it is, but I'm a big fan of Twitter. Most people are not for some reason.
I like all of them.
Yeah.
I just can't keep up with all of them.
Yeah, they're all different. They're all different. I think I like Twitter because you can only say things in like 140
Right.
characters. So you don't get these big, long, drawn out, dramatic
Yes.
posts from people. You get this real short and sweet, just boom, that's it, you know. And you have to kind of collapse what you're going to say
Right.
into short things. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why I like it. But all my podcasts I listen to, I found on Twitter too. So it feels like Twitter, well, in every social media, actually. I mean, Facebook, the only thing I really truly love about social media is that I've been able to network with all these drummers all over the world and, you know, ask them questions about things and vice versa and share experiences. And you can meet the coolest people on social media. We're one step away from anybody.
Yeah, and you know, if you have a question, somebody's got an answer.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere has the answer, Jen.
I know.
You just
I
ask the
agree.
question. Or you just make this, you know, it's amazing. I love
It
it.
is.
I
You know,
love it.
I put online, I said, what should I name my new radio show on LRS? Just because I was curious to see what came out. And there was hundreds of answers, you know.
Yeah.
And AJ McKay posted Jyneration Nation. And he's a professional DJ and has worked in radio for years. And I thought, well, what better who to know that than him? And he was like,
Right.
you know, and it rhymes too. You could do all kinds of cool, like, you know, rhymey stuff with it or jingles or whatnot. And I thought, all right, that's what I'm going to name it. So, I mean, I got the name of my show from social media, even.
Hey, I got the name of my elementary school rock band from
You
Facebook.
did?
Yes.
You did?
I said, what should I name my rock band at Bloom Elementary? And all these people, I mean, like 50 or 60, 100, however many.
Yeah.
And Sonic Bloom.
I love
Sonic
that.
Bloom
Sonic
is
Bloom.
the rock band at Bloom Elementary.
I love
so-
that. Sonic Bloom. Instead of Sonic Boom, it's Sonic Bloom.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that the one right there by Highland Coffee?
Yeah, right
We went,
there.
and by the way, I want to give a shout out to Highland Coffee because Michelle was there this morning, and so was I.
Yes.
Although we didn't run into each other, but they're one of my favorite coffee shops in the Highlands.
Yes, and Highland Coffee has a great tea called Passion Envy. Shout out Passion Envy Tea.
Yeah.
Highland
And
Coffee.
I always get the Swiss mocha with the blackberry whip on top. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
good stuff. I know. I don't need that, but I'm like, you know, I have cravings for certain things. And this week I'm treating myself because I helped produce She Castle. We did really good. We raised a lot of money for charity.
You deserve it, Jen.
That's what I said last night when I took myself to DKD. I was like, you know what? I deserve to treat myself tonight. I'm going to go get that edamame. I got some nachos and a roll, you know, or whatever, and just had a good old time by myself. And, you know, coffee's my treat to myself because I love some coffee.
Me too.
Tends like drummers love coffee, isn't it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I just love black coffee.
Me too. Well, I love all coffee. I don't even judge across the board. All right, you're locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com. Stay tuned. We've got more with K. Michelle Lewis, also Pastor Tracy Patton calling in. It's the outfield. That's Tears for Fears with Shout on LRS102.com. Jyneration Nation, I am Jyn Yates, the Generator, and you're locked on. We've got Miss K. Michelle Lewis, drummer extraordinaire, up in the studio with us. How you doing?
Hey, doing great.
And now we are going to be joined by my pastor. I like to call her my pastor, Pastor Tracy Patton of New Beginnings Church in Indiana. How are you doing, Miss Tracy?
All right. Good to join you. Thank you for having me on here. What a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. And, you know, I wanted to have you on here because I really respect you. I look up to you. I think you do some of the coolest things for our community. You're so philanthropic. You inspire me to be a better person on a daily. And I love that you are doing your Sunday services online. People can just watch online. It's so cool.
Absolutely. We have a live feed every Sunday morning about 10:40 a.m. and live Facebook feed off my Tracy Patton page. And pastors get a bad rap because, they think we're just goody two-shoes people and always want to quote scripture. And it's like, I just want to show people we're just normal people. And, it's just about loving people. People always want to say, well, there's too many rules and regulations in religion, and there is. I tell you what, that organized religion has chased more people away from God than they've chased people to God. So we're all about just, helping one another, loving one another, and accepting everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's an awesome message, and I love your story, too. And how long have you been a pastor, Tracy?
We've been a church 9.5 years. I had suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm several years ago and wasn't expected to live. And when I did live, I thought, well, there's more to life than just existing, so I would like to do something with my life, and that's when I started just promoting the message of love and acceptance and giving back to the community. I also have a nonprofit organization that feeds hungry kids around the area, so there's more to life than just existing, that's for sure.
Yes, and tell us a little bit about that REACH program that you do, the one that feeds the kids, because I'm a huge fan of that, and I've helped try to, gather food for you and whatnot. If people want to donate, how do they do that, and how can they find information online?
Yeah, that's awesome that you would ask that, and we appreciate all your help. TracyPattonMinistries.com is our website, TracyPatton Ministries.com. And on there you can find all the locations in Louisville and southern Indiana where you can actually drop off food. But what we do is feed hungry kids in our local communities. There are so many families that are struggling right now to keep their kids fed. And what makes our program unique, there's tons of food pantries around, and they're all very much needed. But ours is a little more unique that we drive the food right to the houses because we have found that many of our families don't have transportation to get to a free meal or to get to food pantries, so we will actually bring the groceries right to their front door.
I love that.
Oh,
And you've done, I know, isn't that
Yeah,
awesome?
that's great.
Yeah, she's done so much. And is that just on the Indiana side, or you also are working on the Kentucky side of things?
We are in 10 counties in Indiana and 2 counties in Kentucky, so we cover Louisville and Jefferson County, and we also have several families down in E-Town that we help as well. And we'll actually go to any county. We get the call and we're there. In fact, our turnaround rate is once we get a call in for the need of food, we typically have the food delivered within 2 hours of that phone call.
Wow, that is amazing.
That's incredible.
Tracy,
Thank you. Well,
yeah, thank you for everything you do for this community. I mean, you just
you're
blow
welcome.
my mind. And it is people like you that, inspire me to be a great person and to give back and be philanthropic. And, I feel like when you give without expecting anything back, then, it comes back to you threefold. It always will.
it does.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and God is good, man. God is good. I'm a firm believer in, not necessarily organized religion, like you said,
Absolutely.
but I do consider myself a true Christian, and, I just love everything you're about. I love your story, and I am so thankful that you are still alive and here with us today on this earth.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here, that's for sure.
Yeah, now let's talk about your church for a minute, because I've been to your church a few times. I've done some things with you all in the past. You just got a new church, and you're going to be moving.
Right.
And that
Absolutely.
is,
We've been in, yeah.
that's amazing.
but we-
Congrats,
we-
by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. We've been in Jeffersonville 9.5 years and have just been renting space. And so we finally had the opportunity to buy an actual church building in New Albany. So we're anxious to go over to Floyd County and spread the good news there. Our motto at our church is everyone's accepted and no one is judged. And 90% of the people in our church have actually left church in the past because they felt like they didn't fit in. We have gay people, we have tattooed people, we have divorced people, divorced and remarried people, and a lot of these people were asked to leave their church because they didn't fit in or they didn't meet all the requirements, and they had kind of given up on religion and God and all those kinds of things until they found us, and now they know that they have a home where truly, no matter who you are, you're welcome. You're welcome with us. It's called New Beginnings, and we named it that because we feel like it is a new beginning for people to walk in our doors and just have a fresh start with their spiritual walk. And people ask me, well, how many Baptists or Methodists do you have, or Catholic? And I said, you know what? I don't care. It's just people. It's God's people. I don't like to put labels on anyone.
Right.
So we're anxious to go to Floyd County now after being in Clark County for 9.5 years, and kind of tell Floyd County, just come as you are. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah, well, I love that. I would love to have you on the Louisville side. But I'm happy. Yeah, we'll do a branch off. Yeah, but I'm so thankful that for you for landing that new church. Are you still doing fundraisers concerning that, or are you guys closed down with that?
We are. Yeah, actually, we're having this is funny, too, because we're having a big dance at 300 Spring in downtown Jeff this Saturday night.
Cool.
It's a beautiful venue called 300 Spring, and that's where it's located, 300 Spring in Jeffersonville. So at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, this Saturday, we're having the dance with the DJ, a silent auction with a lot of sports memorabilia and different things that are going to be on silent auction. It's $10 at the door, and that will help us to continue to do what we do in this community. And there'll be a cash bar, but that's why I said it's funny. People laugh and say, you have a cash bar at a church fundraiser? Absolutely.
Well, why not? The Catholics do it all the time. Have you ever been to a Catholic picnic? There's more drunk people there than, at any of my rock and roll shows in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, at our church, we hear so many people say, I can't come to church. I drink. And I tell everybody in my congregation, please tell them, hey, as soon as church is over, our pastor will sit down and have a glass of wine with you. So
yeah, no kidding. I was going to say, now I quit drinking, but Jesus was a wino. He loved his wine. Come on, let's be real. Jesus was a groovy dude, man. You know what I'm saying? He had been walking.
Exactly.
He had been right here on the radio with us, just cutting up, looking all groovy with his sandals and his scepter. Oh, yeah.
So, yes, we do still have fundraisers just so that we can keep doing what we do. But, yeah, we'd love to have everybody join us Saturday night, from 8 to 11 Saturday night.
Awesome. Well, I hope you get a big turnout for that. And I'm so thankful that for everything you do. I mean, it's just amazing to watch people who inspire you and want you to do better. And, all the food that you have fed the kids. I love that program. I think that's so genius because, as you taught me, a lot of these kids don't have food once they get out of the schools, for the summers.
Right.
A lot of them don't have food at home. And a lot of the parents are too embarrassed or to something else to come forward and say, hey, we don't have money to feed our kids. So, she will go right to the house and deliver this food. So if anybody wants to donate food to that program, I'm going to encourage them, even, call me up or message me or bring it down here to LRS, or we'll get it to Tracy Patton. Or you can contact her online. If you're in the Louisville area and you would like to donate food to hungry children, please do so. Contact us. Find us a way. We're online. We're everywhere to be found. And I will make sure personally that the food gets over to that program so it can go straight to the kids' homes. So please do that. We love that program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to alert our listeners about? Anything going on other than the event Saturday night and the Reach program, the new church?
I think that's it. Join us Saturday night and tune us in online on Sunday mornings and come see us. Our new church is going to be at 2219 Spring Avenue in New Albany, and we'll probably be over there mid-August and ready to go at that location. And
yeah,
I just appreciate being on today and talking to all of you.
Hey, and anytime, I'm ready to get that CD produced too. Anytime your singers are ready. We talked about that a while back too, about producing your church CD. Which I would love to be a part of once you get settled into your new location. And also, also kudos to you because I do love the idea that you are so transparent that you literally put your church services right online for anybody to tune in live and watch. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Very forward thinking.
If nothing else, you'll laugh. It's very entertaining because I just, they make fun of me for making up words, and I'm just my own thing. Believe me.
Yeah, well, that's why I love it. You're just real. You're real, and you and you tell it like it is. But you have the best heart and the biggest heart in the world, and I always love getting together with you and just sitting and talking to you. We've run into each other a few times here and there, out and about in the Highlands, and just it's always awesome to catch up with you and see what you're doing, and just I love having you to be in my life, a part of my life. So very thankful for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
before I let you go, I have to ask you, what is your favorite style of rock and roll? Since you're on LRS102.com and that's what we spin. Are you a big classic rocker or what?
I am a 70s fan.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
absolutely.
Do you have a favorite band or anything? Because we will spin it here.
Oh, let me think. You got Fleetwood Mac, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I love me some Fleetwood Mac. I was gonna tell you, I just love it that you're a pastor and you're so forward thinking that you're like, hey, if you're gay, come to my congregation. Hey, if you got tattoos, come on. If you can accept this rock and roll drummer, crazy, female in your congregation, then more power to you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll spin some Fleetwood Mac for you, Pastor Tracy.
You got it.
All right, much love and keep rocking it out, man. You're doing great things for this world and this community, and I'm so thankful you are still here with us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day, and thanks for having me on here.
All right, you too. That was Tracy Patton. She's the pastor of New Beginnings Church over in Indiana. Also having a big dance this Saturday night at 300 Spring, 8 p.m. They encourage you to come. All proceeds will go to help them with their new church location. And also, if you have food that you would like to donate to children who need it, get with me, get with her, get with anybody, involved. We'll make sure that that food goes directly to the kids' home. We're going to spin some more rock and roll, and I thought it'd be only right, because I love some Depeche Mode, to play some Personal Jesus in honor of Tracy Patton. I mean, it couldn't be more perfect, could it? All right, stay tuned. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com, The Walrus, Louisville's Rock Stream. Gold Dust Woman, Fleetwood Mac, at the request of Pastor Tracy Patton. You gotta love that cowbell, don't you? Kami Show. Have you ever had to cover that song?
No, I have not.
I was gonna say, all it is a kick and a cowbell. Doom cha, doom cha, doom. And then there's some tom work in there. It's really kind of like super simplistic, which I love about his playing.
Super chill with a cowbell.
He's super chill with a big old cowbell. That's right. So we are joined by Kay Michelle Lewis, drummer and educator, and literally, a woman of many hats and many talents here on LRS102.com. The Walrus. Yeah, she's over there putting her hats on. I love that. So we've still got a few things to talk about. I want to talk about the children's home stuff first. Let's start with that. And let's talk about the work that you are doing for the community and how you want people to get involved or whatever, and how did you get your start with that?
Absolutely. So about, June, I guess it was, it just came to me that, there are lots of children's homes in our world, not just here in Louisville, Kentucky, but in our entire world, that there are kids living in that do not receive a music education. And for me, being as passionate of a music educator as I am, I felt the need to do something about it. And so I came up with this idea, which I don't believe I came up with. I believe Spirit said to me, this is what you need to do. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm going over to children's homes and providing them with a drumming workshop.
That's super cool.
And they get this free drumming workshop. They're not paying for anything. Free drum workshop. They receive the drums at the end of the workshop. And then throughout the year, they're going to team up with my kids at Bloom Elementary to where they can watch videos on a vodcast of drum lessons and so forth, so that they can continue their practice.
That is super
cool.
cool.
I'm not just dropping off drums and letting them go. They're learning, and then they get the drums, and then they continue. So it's sustainable.
That's awesome.
They're going to continue playing after I leave, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So then, that was in Eastern Kentucky. So that was the first two were in July. The first week of July, went to Eastern Kentucky. I'm going to give a big shout out to all the people at Dusty Scott Children's Home, as well as the Buckhorn Children's Home in Lake Buckhorn area. So
that is amazing.
Buckhorn, Kentucky.
Kudos to you. I need my hand clap sound effects right now.
These kids were so appreciative of the experience. They did super, super awesome. I mean, I was like, this is great. You know, in 1 hour, this is what can happen. You can change lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
With music.
You are changing
With
lives.
music.
Yeah. And we both as educators have seen it happen. I mean, you know, I've taught autistic kids that I have seen them literally not be able to hold drumsticks when they start. And like you said, for some reason, it gives them that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that they're done, you know, by the time that they're out of lessons, it's changed their complete everything. Like they can play, they're confident, they're excited about drums now. You know, they can actually hold the drumsticks. It's so, you know, it's mind blowing what music can do to the physical body and to the mind, the emotional, the spiritual, the
all
physical,
of it. The
all
whole
of it.
entire body, mind, spirit.
Yeah. And I mean, music in general, but I do feel like what you said earlier is pretty profound, that you don't know of another instrument that can quite heal the way that drums can.
This I believe to be true. Yes, ma'am.
I believe I'm right there with you. I'm at your church right now. You know what I'm saying?
Drum church.
I'm at Drum Church, yeah.
Yes.
So kudos to you for that, because that's
Thank
an
you.
amazing program, and I am a big fan of anybody who like gives back to the community. I really am, you know, and I love philanthropic people.
Well, thank you, Jen. It's been my pleasure. It's, you know, this is my heart. This is what I get up to do. I'm going to cry on LRS 102.
Yes, you'll be my first to cry. Look, wait. Cry. You can cry all you want here. I'll give you a hug.
So, yeah. So this, you know, the next stop is Louisville, Kentucky, because I believe we need to take care of our home.
Yeah.
And so there's several people I've been speaking with here in Louisville, Kentucky to provide this workshop for, and want to do that here. Mm-hmm. And then next I'm going to go out to Southern California. There are people, you know, when we were talking about social media earlier, how great it is, because if you ask a question or if you need help, there are always people that are out there that are going to help.
Yeah.
They will help if you ask.
Absolutely.
And
you know,
so,
I think it's finding that courage to just ask, because I've been in that situation too, where I was almost homeless several times, you know, among other things. And I really did need help, but my pride wouldn't let me ask for it, you know?
Right.
And then finally, when I realized that if you just ask for it, ask and you shall receive. I mean, it literally works. Ask and you shall receive. And, you know, and I would pray about it or whatever. And then boom, it'd be like, hey, here's a new apartment, you know, or whatever. Or I needed food. Boom, somebody'd call and be like, hey, can I take you out to dinner? You know, it's just amazing what will happen if you actually do ask.
Well, when I did ask several weeks ago for, you know, donations, like drum donations or cash donations for drums, people from everywhere donated for these kids to have this opportunity. And so, you know, I'm going to go across it. Like, I'm not going to limit it to where we're at, because I feel like people everywhere deserve this. It's a basic human right. Okay, so I'm going to say that two
just
more
like
times.
Water and air and you know.
I'm going to say it 2 more times, because I believe 3 is a perfect number.
Okay.
Music is a basic human right.
One more time.
One more time. For all the people out there who are listening,
mm-hmm.
music is a basic human right. And for some reason, we've lost track of this in all the busyness of society.
Mm-hmm.
And this basic human right is something that all people shall receive. And if there was a way that I could do it, this is the way.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to keep going. Southern California in April.
Sweet.
After that, I don't know where it's going to be. A man texted me this morning in Dallas, Texas. He's going to give books to the kids. He wrote this book, and he's going to send me books, and I'm going to take them. And
super rad.
They'll have another way to sustain this program. I
could see that program being all over the world. I mean, you know, eventually.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's something that's doable.
Yeah.
We have the access. We have the ability.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Why not do it? Right, exactly.
Why not do it?
You know, and two, I was going to say, you're still at Bloom Elementary, because
I am, yes.
You've been a music educator for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Yeah, and am I wrong in saying that you were with KMEA at some point? Were you... Did you do some work with marching bands or something like that, actually, with the state level?
So I at one point in time, I was the elementary music chair for Kentucky Music Educators Association.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
And then prior to my position at Bloom Elementary, I was the Jefferson County Public Schools music coordinator.
Yeah, that's super rad.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that hard
Yeah,
work. Yeah,
thank you.
And I've had a couple of your students, privately over the years and whatnot, and they're just always such great kids, But I also wanted to ask you, obviously you're in these systems, the school systems, and you've seen it firsthand how the first thing that these people cut is usually the music programs or the art programs, in these schools. And lucky for us in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville seems to have a very artistic community. They're
Yes.
very big in theater and arts, and we have, Lincoln Elementary performing arts schools. We have YPAS, we have Wagner. Is it Wagner? No, Western Middle School is what I meant to say. All of these amazing schools, because where I come from, there was one school and it was a public school. There was no such thing as a private school where I was. I didn't know what that was until I moved here.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand about, you have 30 or 40 different high schools or different schools to choose from or magnet schools. I didn't understand any of that until I really got here and got educated on it. But I do think it's a detriment when the first thing that they want to cut is the music lessons, the music programs, and I've seen schools around here crying about that basically,
Yeah, I agree. When we base everything on a test score, it's the focus is
detrimental, really.
the focus is in a different place. I believe the focus should be on a well-rounded education for the person, the human, the person who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And if that person's strength is music, or if that person's strength is art, then let's get those things that are the strengths of the kids that are in front of us.
Yeah.
Because everyone learns in a different way, and we should honor that. And if there's, we've got enough money in this city, in the state, in the city, in the country, to provide those things.
Absolutely.
That are basic human rights.
I agree with you. And I'm gonna steal that from you and
That's
give you
okay.
credit for it. I'm gonna be like, music is a basic human right.
It is.
Yeah.
I just believe we've forgotten this concept.
Yeah,
We've gotten focused on things to make focus on things like a test score, because basically I'll just be honest with you. I was very poor at reading when I was in school, all the way through high school, and I'm still not the greatest of readers. I actually like for Audible to read it to me.
I love that
because I
too.
get it better.
Yeah.
That's the learner I am.
Yeah. You're more auditory than visual, probably, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a mixture, but it's with different things. I'm stronger at reading it in some ways, but when it's reading for I don't know. It's
reading
complicated.
music, though, you got some major skills.
See, I can read music. This is
I remember
this is what I read.
I was
music.
gonna say, I was gonna just share a little story about you. We're in Funny Girl, and there's some big drum solo, and of course, I'm not the best reader in the world, but I love to try my best, But I've been out of it for so long, other than just teaching a measure here and there or a pattern or something like that. My sight reading skills are good, but they're not near as good as yours. And I was playing off of you, and I was like, thank God she's not sitting over there judging me, because I'm not playing anything that's on this piece of paper.
But you know what here's what I'm saying. Everybody needs to realize that everybody has a strength. And some, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has strengths, and we just need to honor what those are and then go on about our day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's...
So what else should we touch on? You're getting ready to go to Colorado and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of just awesome stuff coming up here.
Gosh, so yeah, coming up, and it's actually next week. There's a great training for music teachers called Modern Band Summit. So if you're a music teacher around here, Modern Band Summit is in Fort Collins, Colorado, and it basically is a type of music education where you're using guitars and drum sets and basically instruments that you would find in a rock band.
Yeah.
And you teach your class, different genres of music through using these instruments.
Super cool.
And the newest thing, which is cool, is they're going to do I've signed up for this session as a DJ. session.
Cool.
Because
You know I love a
I'm
DJ.
starting like a DJ studio at Bloom, so I'm going to learn some things on that and teach my kids some new stuff.
I was going to say, so the kids can learn to DJ?
Yeah.
Like vinyl or just like the button pushing stuff?
The button pushing stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff. Yeah.
So that's next week, and I have the opportunity to present at this, and this is a major conference that I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to present at. And so the presentation's called Percussion That Pops.
I love
and
that.
So we're going to learn all kinds of different... Right.
Yeah.
We're going to learn all kinds of different techniques on different instruments like congas, with the marcha pattern, which is Cuban, and then some other world percussion items that we're going to touch on.
Super rad.
And learning those rhythms and patterns, like tresillo is a rhythm that's a Latin rhythm that is found in a lot of popular music.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize this. But if you research it, you will find out. And it's important to teach different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And if you teach the culture and through the music, it's amazing. You can teach all kinds of things.
And we hit on that a little bit earlier about how drums were found in every culture, and every culture has different rhythm patterns and different styles of drums, and drums are just fascinating to me. They always have been, because of that fact. And then also, I wanted to hit on a little bit about the website where the kids are doing their own music publishing, because that is also amazing and something not a lot of people know about,
It does not exist, but it's going to exist next week on Monday.
Herstory. We call that herstory.
Herstory.
I call it herstory anytime a woman sets history, because our language is so masculine and people don't know it, but I took a class on the masculinity of our language. So therefore, if you've noticed, almost every record I put out has been like, welcome to the queendom, not the kingdom.
Yes.
Herstory is my solo record.
That's
instead of history.
You are right.
Yeah,
yes.
and if you think about, all the words that we use, even woman has the word man in it. So hence a lot of feminists like to spell it with Y.
Right.
Yeah, and so forth. So anyway, if you think about our language, though, on a daily basis, it's very masculine. So I'm trying to
changing that. Okay,
so you're
good.
making
you should write
herstory.
A book.
I'm working on it.
You should write a book about that.
Actually, the book and the solo record are called Herstory, both of them.
Very cool.
And I want to kind of release them together if I can get them together in time. You know what I mean? But I've been working on a book for a very long time now. I just feel like there's more stuff coming. Every time I think it's finished, then something awesome happens and I'm like, no, I got to write about this too. You know what I mean? So anyway, go ahead though.
No, I understand. This publishing, this whole idea started back when I taught at Brown School. It's K through 12 school here in Louisville, Kentucky. Shout out to Brown School.
Shout out. Yeah.
J. Graham Brown School. Yeah. I did this project with my students there where they wrote their own music. And I thought, man, wouldn't that be cool if they could publish this and other people could buy it and just like have it. So I just figured this out. I'll just start one. If there's not one that exists, I'll just do it. So got the student publishing. What's going to happen next week on Monday at Modern Band Summit is that people are going to, this is going to be rolled out to where they can purchase a kit, which is free. So they're not really purchasing it. All they do is sign up. They get the kit for free. They take the project, do it with their students. Their students will create music on their end. Cool. And then their students and the teachers send the music to me. I put it in Finale, get it all nice and published, put it on the nice paper, the thick stock paper that music comes on, and then I ship it back to them.
That's amazing.
So they get it for free, and that's their class copy.
Yeah.
Then if they want to buy it, they can buy it. as a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So if they want to have their parents buy it and their grandparents buy it and whoever else buy it, they can do that. And so the 50%
That's
would
super
go
cool.
back to them.
Yeah.
So instead of selling like candy bars or selling candles or these kind of things, they're selling their music.
That's amazing.
They're selling their
I love
music,
that.
and they get, the 50%.
Yeah,
So
and they
that's-
get a physical copy of the actual written notation.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
You'll
it's
have to
pretty
teach
awesome.
me. I tried to learn Finale a couple times, even took a couple classes, but it's just like, it's such a huge program that you really got to know what in the world's going on, you know.
It's getting easier though.
I hope so.
Like it
it wasn't too
It's
easy when
kind
I
of
started.
easy now, easier. I should say
Yeah.
easier now than what it was when it first came out.
Yeah. And what's the equivalent to it? Is it syllabus or something like that? It starts with an
Sibelius.
S. Sibelius. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't. Girl, I can't pronounce that word.
That's
hardly.
okay. But this is
Yeah.
great because they can have a published copy. They can sell it, and then they can get the funds that will go back to their music programs, because we know that not all music programs receive the appropriate amount of funding.
Yeah. Absolutely.
this
In
is a
fact,
way-
they're the first ones cut.
Yeah, so
usually.
this is a way that they can help that along.
Yeah. Well, that's
know,
cool. You also
help-
ought to tell them they can purchase it and frame it. They can do all kinds of
They can
artwork
do-
with their music too,
it's-
you know?
It's going to be amazing. And so they can find that on www.drumsmartllc.com.
That's super cool. Say it in one more time.
Drumsmartllc.com, and it's going to roll out Monday.
Cool. Well, congratulations. I need my hand
Yay!
claps.
Oh my
I'm working
gosh.
on sound
Herstory.
effects. Herstory. You're setting herstory. That's what I love to do too. You know what I mean? We were talking about the She Castle thing. I'm pretty sure that's set herstory for this area
Yeah.
as one of the first all women on stage music festivals for the state and also Louisville, Kentucky.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we really didn't set out to do it like that. It literally, when we first started, was just going to be a benefit to my girl Bev, who I lost in October due to cancer. We were in the middle of releasing all this music that we had done together and that I had recorded for her solo stuff, and I wasn't for sure how many singers would get involved. Put together a house band, and then was like, I met Bev on stage behind an all-women at an all-women's music festival, and if they can do it in Michigan and Ohio and California and New York, then why can't we do it here?
That's right.
Yeah, and I'd taken a little bit of
We
flack.
can do it here. That's
I know.
what.
That's I
what.
know.
We can.
Well, and also, I don't know if you know anything about me, but as soon as you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it times 1,000 and publicize it and take pictures and videos and everything else, right?
Jen, I think that's common
Yeah.
language.
Yes.
If somebody says I can't, I'm going to find a way.
Yeah, exactly.
gonna happen.
Thank God they told me I was horrible on drums my whole life. You know what I'm saying? Because I was set out to prove them wrong. I don't know what that is, but I always had that drive. I always had a drive since I was a kid. I didn't like to be told what to do or how to do it. Unless I ask, of course, and I don't know. I just had that drive, but I took a lot of flack online for some comments that I'd made about a festival, about a, and I love all women's programs around here, and I always support them. But I was questioning why you would have a women's festival if you had a guy backing band. Nothing against the guys, but I was like, I had come from a background. Michigan Women's Music Festival, Ohio Women's Music Festival, where these were all women put on productions. And I thought, well, if they can do it there, then why can't we do it here? And why am I taking flack from other girls for my comments about supporting women and trying to get them on stage? And then somebody said, well, why can't we do it? And I said, you know what? You're right. We can. So let's
That's
do
right.
it. And
There
then
you
that's
go.
what happened is She Castle, and we're going to have it be an annual event every year.
That's awesome.
So
I love it.
I'm pretty sure we set herstory with that too.
You did. You sure did.
Yeah.
Herstory.
Yay, we love it. We love it. Yeah.
Hey, you know what else is?
what's
is
that?
Well, it's history. Well, it's. Ooh, what's both of them? What's all of them? What would that word be? We need to figure that
Ooh,
out.
yeah, you figure
because
that
this
out.
recent Pride Parade, the first ever marching band,
I
Pride
saw
marching
that. High
band.
five.
Oh man,
I was gonna join you all.
You were, and I know your bus.
Well, here's the thing. I said to the guy organizing, I said, look, I want to be a part of this, but I also knew that I had some nerve damage in my arm, and I wasn't for sure how my body would hold up marching that far with a drum, carrying it. Because,
Yeah.
it's very physical, and I knew it was going to be very hot on top of it. And I said, look, I've already promised my bus, if I can get it in working order before the parade, I am going to have to drive this bus. If not, I will join you on just like cymbals or just whatever I can join. I'll hold a flag. I didn't care, and then he said, cool. And then I actually got to drive the bus, which, by the way, we made CNN headline news for Louisville, Kentucky. We made people in New York were calling me going, I just saw you and your bus on TV because we set herstory that day, too.
Yes.
It was the largest pride parade in
huge.
For the state and also for Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, you know what? I want to give a shout out to Scott Ulrich.
Yeah, we love
for
Scott.
organizing the marching band because, it's not a parade, in my opinion. It's not a parade unless there's a marching band there. That's where I come from.
By the way,
so
I also took flack for that comment online because I kept saying it's not a parade unless you got a marching band leading it, y'all. For years,
it's
and
true.
then good
it's
for
true.
him
so
to
good
like
for
actually
him.
making that happen.
He didn't know if it was gonna people would come out and do it, and so people came out and were
it
committed
was fantastic.
to. And I mean, this band, y'all. Next year, whoever's out there listening, if you play an instrument or you're twirling a flag,
I just got cold chills.
If you are doing it, you need to come out because it was amazing this year. And I was the only snare drummer, and I need like a 9-piece snare line.
Yeah.
I need a 9-piece snare line. So that's what I'm putting out into the universe right here on LRS 102.
Yeah.
It'll 7,
happen.
9, one of those.
Yeah, 7. 7's a good number. I like 7.
7's a great number.
07 and watch them, the 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
7-piece snare line. We're going to have it, and you guys come on out and let's do it next year because that was fun.
Well, kudos. If I don't drive the bus next year, I will definitely be in your snare line with you. I would love to do that. Because in marching band, I only got to do pit. I only got to do snare or quads when we were marching, like in a parade or something like that. So I very rarely got to play snare or quads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was always in the pit. I was the pit leader. So it was like I was in charge of like timpanis, marimbas, and all the, all the big stuff that you can't move, drum set.
Yeah.
And Mr. Allen, he loved to do like, all the DCI band stuff. We were big Blue Devils fans. I even loved like the Velvet Knights. Do you remember them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had the little cool hats with the little spinny things, and they always had the Energizer Bunny out on the field with the big bass drum. They were just really funny. They made me laugh, and I like a sense of humor. So, yeah. Anyway, kudos to you for setting history for the first, Pride marching band ever in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else before we wrap up today that you want to get out there about your businesses, all the stuff you're doing? And by the way, I would love for you to do a call-in when you're out in Colorado.
Oh, definitely.
And let me know how that, like a couple days in, how that's going.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Especially since it's like some of the first, it's cool what you're doing all around. So I would just like a little call-in report on that. So.
Totally. I can do that for you.
Rock and roll, man.
So one last thing, I just want to let everybody know this business, Drum Smart LLC. You can find it, again, drumsmartllc.com. We're going through a kind of a transition. The core values have slightly changed, and I want to share this with everyone. I haven't posted it yet on social media, but I'm going to tell you guys now that this is what our company is about. This particular acronym spells out Drum Smart, stands for Drumming Respectfully Unifies Manifesting Spirits.
Whoa, manifesting. I was going to say, there it is again. There's that masculine language. I call it whoa, manifesting. Yeah.
You are right. Oh, maybe I should change that. Yeah?
It'll mess your acronym up, though.
I know.
It'll have to be Drum Schwart.
Right. Okay, so
unless the M is at the end of the drum. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So drumming respectfully unifies minds and spirits, manifesting altruistic relationships and teaching. So we're all about teaching all kinds of different workshops, drumming workshops, private lessons. I give private percussion lessons, and also this what we're going out doing with the children's homes. I mean, that's about the altruism. And then building relationships and community with the community drum circles. So Waterfront Wednesdays, we've been doing those.
I saw that. That's so cool. I want to try to make one of those, but I'm always teaching when Waterfront Wednesday's going on.
Yeah.
But do people need to bring a drum if they come to those, or do they just show up with a drum, or how does that work?
You know, I'm starting to find that a lot of people have a drum tucked away somewhere in their house.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to bring your drum, I always like it, you know, like when I used to go to drum circles in different places, I would take my own drum because that's my personal, like I like to play it. But you don't have to. So if you don't have a drum, come on, because we provide the drums.
Yeah, when's the next one, by the way? So people can attend. Do you have anything lined up?
They're actually every last Wednesday of the month.
Okay, every last Wednesday of the month. I swear I'm going to try to get to one of those. Because I've been meaning to for a long time now. It always just kind of slips my brain. I've always got stuff going on until super late.
No, you are busy. You are a woman of many hats as well.
It's starting to slack off a little bit now, but, 2 jobs and like almost 30 kids a week. And, on top of that, I was doing the She Castle thing. And I've got to, just being the side player here and there. Taking gigs, taking cool gigs.
And as far as like drumming stuff, like I'm open to whatever gigs and things come along. I normally play drum set with Voices of Kentucky.
Right, yeah.
They're my group. They're my crew.
Yeah.
So I play all their concerts.
And
but I do other freelance stuff that I love. So any projects out there that people are like, hey, I need a drummer for this, call me.
Yeah, do
you
it
never
to
know.
it.
If my schedule isn't busy, I might say yes.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, because you always are busy, too. It seems like you're busier than me half the time. I'm like, I thought I was the busiest chick working around here, but maybe not so much these days. Well, Kay Michelle, it has been awesome and an honor to have you in today to talk about your company, your drumming, your MS, and everything basically that you're doing for the world. It's very inspiring.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And we'll have you back because I would love to have that call in, when you get done with, when you're out in Colorado or even when you're out in California. It'd be cool to do a call in because I always try to do a call in once a day.
Okay.
And usually the people are from somewhere else in the country. And I love to feature women drummers. That's one of my favorite things. So, if you've got any recommendations of people you think would be a great interview, you just shoot them right on over to me.
Definitely.
It'd be super cool. Kay Michelle, lady of many hats, drummer extraordinaire, music educator, business owner. You're also doing some healing through drumming. You do the drum circles around town. Literally everything, right? Yeah, you run almost. You want to make your thing a nonprofit, pretty much, right?
Yes,
all the stuff that you're doing for
I
children.
just met with somebody about that the other day. So this is going to take off, you guys. So if you have donations of drums or funds that you want to send my way for the purpose of these drumming workshops, please contact me. You can get with Jen, or you can contact me through DrumSmart LLC, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or on my website.
That is super cool. Yeah, absolutely. Look her up, y'all. Get on her social media because I do love your social media. You do post a lot of really interesting things, and especially about drumming. We're both of us just so like pro drumming and want everybody to have a drum set. I want everybody to play drums. You know what I'm saying?
Drumming is so healing, and I don't know that everybody knows this, but yeah, the research behind it. There's so many healing aspects. I just learned Reiki and drumming.
Yeah.
So
which I love Reiki.
Combining both of those together. And that is, I learned Reiki because I wanted to heal myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn the energy work to heal myself.
I tell you what.
And I learned more than what I went in expecting to learn.
Yeah.
So Reiki and drumming, I'm going to start holding workshops for that as well.
Well, I definitely will attend one of those because I'm a big fan of energy healing, and anytime I get physically hurt or emotionally hurt, or whatever it be, I love to go to an energy healer, and we have some amazing energy healers in the city.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah, I know there is, and I have had Reiki performed on me multiple times. One for my thumb, and can you believe I've not had any trouble since I had the Reiki performed?
Good.
I had problems with my thumb, like trigger thumb almost, like it would lock up, and and I don't know if it was from holding drumsticks my whole life or what, but my thumb would lock up, and after I had that, I have not had any problems other than the nerve damage stuff, and the non-feeling in it, but it doesn't lock up like it used to.
Yeah, it's
so fascinating. I encourage everybody to check that stuff out. You don't have to believe in it or not, but just go try it out and see what happens.
Life force energy.
Yeah. Well, Kay Michelle, it's been an honor to have you here on the studio with me today. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Miss Jyn Yates.
Yeah.
You are wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we'll check in with you later. Kudos. Keep doing everything you're doing. We love helping society, and we love to have people in here who are like you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, and keep on drumming, sister. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation. I am Jyn Yates. I will be back tomorrow in the studio with groovy doovy guest. Stay groovy. I'll see you tomorrow.